Man, I see in Fight Club the strongest and smartest men who've ever lived. I see all this potential, and I see squandered. God damn it, an entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Our Great War is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives. We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. We're very, very pissed off.
Oh shit. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Let's go, man. I'm Juice, man. Woman. Yo, NPC the game live. Your friend, your primo, Gabriel here. Streaming from the back rooms of Taiwan. I'm juiced up on this full moon, strawberry moon. Cynthia reminded me of that. And my wife reminded me of that. Shout out to them. Damn, got me all nostalgic and stuff. I'm like, I gotta play that song twice. That's my mom used to have that on repeat. That song, Billy Ocean, 1985. Yeah, buddy. NBC the game live from the real Shaolin. Yeah, just happy to be here. Shout out to the chat already, Yolanda. I love the fantastic shares in the chat. Appreciate you. Thank you for inspiring me to make a video this morning. Yeah, and your wonderful words of support. It means the world. Someone else that means the world. Shadow Buddha in the building, bitch. My brother. Hanko Flame in the building. I see you, big dog. Panelverse with a W. Much love. I love you guys. I love you. I'll be like this. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, good evening, Patrick Bateman, I love you. Good evening, Yolanda, I love you. Good evening, Shadow Buddha, I love you. Good evening, Hank, I love you. Who else is in there? Good evening, Ninja Watchers, I love you. Yeah, this is it, man. It's Christmas, so that's a holiday, seems like, huh? Yeah, so tonight's episode is, oh yeah, I love that. Paranoid awareness, conspiracy, and overthinking, the Virgo mind, and truthers. Shout out to Truther Cop, wherever you are, in a minute. Yeah, so we're here. We're here. Look at this nice, this beautiful piece of art. It's kind of high powered. Not kinda, it is high powered. That Uncle Fatty made for me. And I put it up and put it in the background. Yeah. I was asking if you guys could hear me. Put a 1 in the chat if I put it down like that. I guess not. So you probably couldn't hear me the last 15 seconds. I was just testing something. If I bring it down. Anyway, shout out to Uncle Fatty for that. That shit is not shit. Look at how we talk. Gotta watch my language and be writing exact. That wonderful piece of art. Those symbols. Look at that. What's up, Everett? Good to see you. I think we might be having that transit right now, Virgo and Mercury. That's where it's at home. Mercury and Virgo. That means that's where it feels comfortable. That's the planet. Yeah. So Zephyr, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another level of the Matrix. Except this time, I'm not here to sell you a blue pill or a red pill or what is that stuff that 50 Cent he sold? Vitamin water. Today we're going to talk about real psychological traps, paranoid awareness. You know what I'm talking about. I was talking about this on the community post earlier. I mean, how many of y'all truthers be watching conspiracy videos at 3 a.m. or researching CIA documents you can barely pronounce, or even medical journals on Conan 19, the ill effects of the vax? Or how many of y'all been on panels recently arguing with strangers about lizard people and 5G towers like it's life or death? And it's real. It's real. That's real stuff, man. But here's the plot twist. All that paranoid truther culture, it's just another matrix. I call it the second matrix. And we're gonna break it down. And since we're talking about overthinking, I gotta bring in the Virgo energy, because if any zodiac sign is gonna spiral into analysis paralysis, it's my Virgos. And I say that with love. So yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's hit it. Let's hit this. Yeah, let's hit this. Let me zoom your slap your mind back into.
I just love breaking the emotions and the spirit of stupid people. When you break business. The mind, the body follows. That's why. When you own somebody's mind, their body follows.
Yeah. Shout out to Imperius. You're like, I guess. Hey man, he's part of the universe, the panelverse of the all of the above sector. Definitely a Mars representative at time, resonator. So what is paranoid awareness? Paranoid awareness is actually a term I heard back in the day when I used to be in this private online forum run by this author and named Jason Kafis. He used to go by Aeolus Kafis. And I was in this private forum. It was a paid forum, part of that forum. It was a public forum, but I paid. Yes, I used to pay money to be in this private forum, and it was called SWETA, acronym starting for Stormy Weather existential detective agency, and we would look at patterns in life and see how they relate to us, what's really going on now. And we try to break down our identity and see what was behind the mask of the persona. So, and he used to talk about instead of saying conspiracy theories, theorists at the time, he'd say paranoid awareness. We're so aware that we start to get paranoid the more we learn. Is it serving us really, or is it hurting us? Are we able to relate the big picture to the small picture? This is the type of things that we were discussing at Sweater and whatnot. And yeah, Shadow Buddha's heard me talk about this probably fucking a million times, but this is what we're doing. This is the main motivation behind my work. Trying to find the patterns in life that are serving us and not serving us. And at the same time, uncovering our mythical narratives. Yeah. So paranoid awareness is when you start seeing threats everywhere. The banks are plotting against you. The food is poisoned. Your TV and microwave are spying on you. And look, I get it. There are messed up systems in this world. Governments do shady stuff. Corporations do hide things, but there's a trick that nobody tells you, that paranoid awareness or truth or culture doesn't liberate you all the time. It can trap you in a second matrix. You escape believing the news and only to get trapped into believing the paranoia. It's just the same game in a different costume. So let me give you a little sample of some of the talks we used to have at Sweater. This is Jason talking to Lucinda Haran. I think he ended up marrying her. So let's listen to this. This is the podcast where I found Jason. Like maybe some of y'all found me. It was called Stormy Weather. News of the end times on the front line.
Lucinda Haran, welcome once again to Stormy Weather.
Thank you, Aeolus. I'm very glad to be back. This time around, what I would like to talk with you about is how paranoia becomes paranoid awareness.
Okay.
So first of all, can you tell me the difference between paranoia and paranoid awareness?
Well, yeah, there's all the difference in the world. Well, there's the clinical definition of paranoia, which is a persecution complex, the belief that one is being plotted against, talked about, secret, which one could extend to a deeper kind of persecution complex, which is that reality itself is somehow undermining one, that nothing goes right, that everything is set against one, that there's some secret plot, which of course, there's religious paranoia, which essentially is belief in the devil, so that's very widespread. And then there's the more mundane kind of paranoia, which is not clinical, but is still paranoia and can become clinical, which is also quite widespread nowadays, which is the belief in conspiracies, government conspiracies.
Yeah, back then, this is 2009, 10. Definitely conspiracy theories were starting to get big on YouTube. This is before panels. This is when we would do our show on podcasts and Podomatic, Block Talk, all that, man, Talk Shoe. And yeah, there's a tendency to get overwhelmed by a lot of these so-called conspiracies, but we don't even know if they're true. I mean, most likely they are, but we still don't know. We're in the mode of belief, and we're not in our knowing what we know, and that's a place that can lead to a lot of uncertainty, which can lead to a lot of stress and not having peace of mind.
Plots, secret technology controlling our thoughts or causing cancer.
All the stuff about 9/11, vaccinations, contaminated uranium experiments on American civilians, and
food additives, genetic modification,
chemtrails.
I think that most, if not all, of our listeners are going to be familiar with the many different examples of
What's up,
this.
Rags?
What you're asking about more is the state of mind that this creates.
So all of those forms of paranoia that you listed, would you say all of those are pathological?
Well, no, as a clinical paranoia is something that's very much about the individual, and it's a subjective thing where if one is paranoid, one will simply interpret the signals or the evidence in a way that confirms that persecution complex. Whereas the subtler form of paranoia, which is not clinical, is based on the opposite in a sense. It's the old cliche, it does do the crazy theories cause the paranoia? Does the paranoia cause the crazy theories? Well, your average person assumes for their own comfort that if somebody's talking about these conspiracies and they're a little bit unhinged, that, well, there you go, the person's obviously crazy, but they tend not to consider the very equally likely possibility that if these things were true, or just even if the person believed them to be true, then they would probably end up being a little bit unhinged by having to deal with and process all this information.
Yeah, I mean, it's overwhelming when you start diving down the rabbit hole. You start finding out things you never knew, and a lot of times it's a paradigm shift, meaning it's a 180-degree reverse of what you thought was the way the world was. It's actually the opposite, in these theories. But then again, like you may find out the information, but then you don't know that for sure, right? You don't know for sure that if the Hindu, he's talking about religion too. It could be seen as that certain religions, how in Hindu culture and religion, we're dealing with Maya. This is all an illusion, supposed to be, right? That we see, right? However, that sounds high powered and cool, but like, do we really know that if that's true? And in knowing that, it does definitely make your life a little bit more unstable and unsure. And on top of that, you don't even know if it's true, but you do know. You know what you know, like that you're sitting in front of your computer or listening to the phone while you're driving this broadcast. You know that that your hand is it's clenched right now. You know that that you saw a semi truck just ride by you on the freeway right there. You know those things, but everything else is like almost a belief. And these conspiracy theories tend to get us out of what we know and more into what we believe. Even though believing is very important, and knowing springs from belief, I think it's a lot simpler to live from more of a place, coming from a place of things that you know than what you just believe. Yeah.
So that's not really the same as clinical paranoia, I don't think, or that could lead to that. I mean, if there's smoke, there must be
You're right.
fire, and the prevalence of conspiracy theories and of paranoid views of reality suggests that there is so much that is hidden from us that it is necessary to come up with alternate views of reality, simply in order to make sense of this hidden aspect. So the question then is if the paranoid actually does become unhinged by what he or she discovers. That seems to be the question, and the answer, I mean, the determining factor in my experience is whether they take it personally, really.
So is that paranoid?
Yeah. Do you take? Some people do take it personally. They make it their whole way of being, of trying to let everyone know, and they're excited because who wouldn't be excited if you just figured out that left is right and right is actually left? You want to tell everyone, right? But everyone's not on your same page of waking up. When you wake up in the house at 7 a.m. and you're so excited, you want to play your what do you want to play? You want to play Janis Joplin, Big Brother and the Holding Company, and you're psychedelic rock, and you want to make chorizo for everyone. But and then you want to like be banging around in the kitchen. But there's people who are still asleep, even though you want to share with them and commune with them. They're still asleep. They set their alarm for 10. You set your alarm for 7 a.m. And you wonder why they get mad at you or don't want to listen to you and go back to sleep. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. We're listening to an old friend, not necessarily a friend, but definitely a mentor that I had named Aeolus Cafus, Jason Horsley, who used to do a podcast and talking about how overthinking into some of these conspiracy realms or truther realms can actually be a lot of stress and take away your peace of mind because you're getting away from things you actually know, even though you may be learning more things, but you can't really, you don't know it. It's more beliefs and if anything, our time could be served better creating your own mythical narrative, as we say, and finding purpose in your life and getting after it. So that's what we're listening to. The difference between the paranoid person and someone involved in what we call paranoid awareness.
So awareness, then, would that be when you are paranoid but you don't take it personally?
Yeah, and when you don't take it too literally either. It's paranoid awareness. See, paranoid is when you find stuff out and you uncover theories and possibilities and you start to believe them. And so you develop conviction about certain things. You become fanatical. We all know these people who discover these secret plots and what have you, and they feel that it's their duty to inform everyone else of what's really going on in the world. And so that's an example of somebody who's taken it personally and taken it literally. They haven't had sufficient awareness to leave it open.
So you could say that that's actually a phase that the paranoid goes through, a highly emotional phase. Just discovered this occult knowledge.
Yep.
And it makes them very excitable and emotional and driven. And so they appear, their behavior may become erratic and they may become very excitable and they're driven to tell everybody what they found.
Yeah, how many streamers do we know like that? Maybe you've seen me like this. Like I definitely used to be. You can go back in my archives of some of my other channels where I was a raving, as you could say, lunatic, moon tick, very overly emotional about these passionate, and I think I still am. It's just that I point towards trying to focus on the things I know rather than just what I believe. Me, it sounds like great, like I said, high powered stuff, maybe even self-righteous. But it's definitely something that can keep you grounded in things that you can actually affect your circle of influence when you focus on the things here in front of you on your plate.
So that might be a phase that they pass through?
It could be. I think in terms of...
Yeah, you said you can barely hear what she's saying. Yeah, that's Lucinda, his wife, Jason's wife, and which is like sucks because I guess people are learning too when they're doing their broadcast, like give her a mic as well. Don't use your own mic. That's a lesson too. All these things are meta lessons, all right? Because she's amazing because I've heard like hundreds of hours of Jason riff and talk, and he's great. But when she was speaking to him, asking those questions and follow-ups, it's like next level. This is what we call the alchemical marriage, where when you have a partner, maybe you don't always get along perfectly all the time, but they can bring out the best. You can bring out the best in each other and have this chemical compound that you guys interact with that brings you to higher levels of consciousness, as long as you stick it out together and not just like leave at the first sense of distress, right? Stick it out. That's a real alchemical relationship. What's going on, Schnell? Good to see you. We're just talking about paranoid awareness, conspiracy theories, the Virgo mind trap, and truthers. Conspiracy theories, that's what we used to call the paranoid. That's what we call now again. The paranoid awareness is what we call the truther, who has realized the fact that yes, there are these so-called conspiracies, but we're trying to take responsibility and trying to say, like, how do we engage with the material and actually make ourselves a part of it? So we're not so much a victim. We're making ourselves a part of this so-called program of conspiracy theories, right? Real or not, they are. You know, we choose to engage in this. So, and what responsibilities come with that? Yeah.
It is a phase that most researchers or individuals do pass through that phase to get to paranoid awareness, but it doesn't then follow that everybody does pass through that phase. I think the majority of researchers stay more or less within, because it's another belief system. It becomes an article of faith, essentially.
You're very welcome.
If you develop convictions, then you have to defend those convictions. And so then you look for the evidence that supports you and you ignore the rest. Mm-hmm. And so then it becomes a personal item of faith that you need to defend, that you define yourself by.
So
you need to defend. A lot of us have done that, are doing that. You have to feel like you have to defend these roles. The panel is open, just to let you know. And the donations are always welcome and are open right now. Right.
Then
they are encouraged and motivated. They make me motivated.
The key difference between a paranoid and someone with paranoid awareness would be what they believe. Would you?
She's talking about the difference between someone with paranoid awareness and someone who's just paranoid. It actually would be what they believe, she's saying.
And how they believe it.
Paranoid becomes paranoid awareness when the paranoid begins to assume responsibility for the reality in which he or she finds himself. And therefore, sort of like the quantum physics thing, the realization that the observer is affecting the outcome of the experiment. It becomes impossible to separate ourselves from the very process that we're observing. And this has to apply also to conspiracy theory, conspiracy research, that we have to take responsibility for being involved at a deep level with whatever it is that we're discovering. So it's the difference between a victim and a player then.
So more proactive instead of something's being done to me, but...
She said more, Lucinda said, so being more proactive and just, instead of just thinking something's being done to you. It may even be like that. Actually, now you see that you're actually doing something to it as well.
Seeing yourself as a participant in a story that's unfolding.
Mm-hmm. Seeing yourself as a participant in the story that's unfolding, because we are living a narrative. When you wake up, you're just doing a continuity narrative that your language machine tells you, this is what you're doing. This is what you did yesterday. And this is what you're doing now. And this is what you will continue to do. That's a narrative. We're all in a narrative. And the one we all share here is called a meta narrative.
Something like that, which actually implies an impersonal relationship to it.
Yeah.
You'd have to not really be concerned about the outcome for yourself, I guess.
She's saying a paranoid awareness. A paranoid would be not necessarily concerned about the outcome for yourself, but however, you're on the trail of the narrative of that conspiracy. Because a lot of times you wanting to stop it, which is understandable, because a lot of these conspiracies are very bad to humans, malevolent, not benevolent. So you want to stop it, and that reflects in the way one expresses that. The conspiracy or truther expresses that. When in fact, sometimes it's better to be a little bit, maybe give you more peace of mind, to be more of a objective, when expressing these ideas and whatnot, and focusing on the actual context of the quote unquote conspiracy, instead of saying they bad, me good type of shit. I actually think that the best thing to do is not even get involved in it, really. But we're here. This may be a recovering place for paranoids, as we say, paranoid awareness folks here in NPC the game. Benjamin, because you may be red lighted in a sense where you find out conspiracies and things that you're like, oh my gosh, and you may need a break and your friends, and this could be like a rehab for people who are been overwhelmed by paranoid awareness.
Well, not primarily, anyway. I mean, it'd be impossible to completely ignore, one's self-interest and survival and all that. But
Yeah, this is why her voice is low, but we can just focus on him. I'm only going to play this for a little bit longer, I think, but what he's saying, because he's kind of restating his answer, her question, in it with his answer.
it's not a primary element in exploration of these mysteries. Is what's in it for me, or what if I get hurt, or it's not about being objective. It's not possible to be objective. It's about being impartial. That's the difference. And not being emotionally invested in the outcome of the experiment, because that would be the only option open to the quantum physicist. He can't not observe the experiment, because then he'll never know what the outcome is. So he's going to have to influence the outcomes to some extent, but presumably the less emotionally involved he is, the less he's going to interfere with it. So it's kind of like blending with the environment, as I say about anthropologists, that they can't really observe a culture without changing it. So they've got to enter into it to observe it, so that they have to blend with it somehow. So the paranoid, in order really to understand the nature of the world in which we're living in, he has to allow himself to become part of it. And so that extends to, specifically with the paranoid, to the malevolent conspiracies which we are all discovering now as
the evil conspiracies that are trying to harm you, malevolent, right? It's almost like you heard Hunter S. Thompson talk about gonzo journalism, where he throws himself into the story in order to write the story. Same thing with the paranoid awareness. You're literally throwing yourself in the narrative, the conspiracy, truth or narrative, in order to really know what's going on, or if it's true or not, and how true it is in your life, because you're putting your life up against it. Some of y'all told me stories where you're actually in these conspiracies that we read about and seen videos about, so you know what I'm talking about, paranoid awareness. And in fact, why even chase paranoia awareness when, as it is on default, the reality of the world is pretty ratcheted up, can make you feel paranoid, especially if you smoke a lot of weed or salvia or DMT or psychedelics, or just put yourself in situations by looking at content in your algorithm that puts these truth or conspiracies in your face 24/7. It's going to reflect in your state of mind, in your thinking, in your way of being.
Paranoid with the Masonic sorcery theater and the shadow government and the secret hand and the corporations and the reptilians, if you go that far. We have to be able to blend with that mindset also.
It seems to me that people tend to be
She said, it seems to me that people
fairly emotionally attached to the things they believe.
tend to be fairly emotionally attached to the things they believe.
And maybe that's because we need or feel that we need to have
And maybe that's because we tend to believe that we need to
a structure of beliefs
have a structure of beliefs
to define ourselves in the world,
to define ourselves in the world,
so that we don't feel completely lost.
so we don't feel completely lost.
So, are you advocating that paranoid awareness?
So are you advocating that paranoid awareness
Is essentially living with a flexible belief system?
Is paranoid awareness living with a flexible belief system,
Or without a belief system?
or without a belief system?
I don't think it's possible to live without a belief system, but definitely to have as flexible a system of beliefs as possible is desirable, and that does relate to the emotional attachment we have to beliefs. Once again, flexible belief system would be one that is constantly changing, mutating, and adapting.
Very Taoism. Taoist.
To the evidence, to one's personal experience.
So is that something you've managed to do for yourself?
Is that something you managed to do for yourself? She said.
Not be emotionally attached to your beliefs.
Not be emotionally attached to your beliefs. And this is what I'm saying. Like this person right here. Good to have you, ESP Revolution. Said Conan 19 and many other things were at war for sure. For sure. Of course we can see it, but just because can you see, yeah, just because I'm not excuse me, constantly expressing myself like super passionate or like getting all angry about it doesn't mean I don't see it. This is maybe what some of us need to do. I don't know about you. Everyone does what they're, knows what they need for themselves best, but you can still look at these things, but you don't have to, I don't have to throw myself into it and just be like, okay, this is that, and there's nothing I can do about it. This is, it's so horrible. And maybe it is horrible. What are you going to do, man? You got to live. I literally live in the front line of communism versus capitalism here in Taiwan in the back rooms. And there could be a war at any moment, literally any moment. There's planes that fly over my head when I'm trying to teach my students patrolling the area. It's a real thing, but we have to live, we have to live. You gotta keep going. Yeah, they killed your grandmother. That's why that's those are bastards, man. What are you gonna do, man? Yeah. Sorry about your loss.
For example, you wrote Lucid View a few years ago. Can you give an example from Lucid View where your belief was changed?
You wrote a book called Lucid View about paranoid awareness. So she said, you wrote it a couple of years ago. Can you give an example of how your beliefs now, how you challenge your old beliefs now?
Changed.
Or have your beliefs changed?
Not really, because Lucid View isn't a compendium of beliefs, and it isn't contingent on my believing anything in the book, or at least there may be things in there that definitely are articles of belief, but they would be philosophical ideas, psychological ones. But in terms of actual the narrative of Lucid View, which depends on, I don't want to say theories. I'm very wary of that term. That conspiracy theories are often a lot more than just theories. They're narratives that arrange the evidence, such as it is, into a coherent sequence that makes sense, that tells a story and that is consistent. And so there can be more than a theory, because something that's theoretical is very abstract. The elements that I chose to believe for Lucid View, I did so in order to string together the narrative in a way that I felt was coherent and that held up to scrutiny.
Okay, there's been times where I've talked about one conspiracy theory, and I presented it and I put it in a narrative format where I string it together with another conspiracy theory that's seems to be related, but I don't know for sure. And just to make it more hit harder, right? And in doing so, you may even lose your original emphasis on the particular conspiracy theory you were trying to express and share with people, because you have all these one theory on another, and it just makes the point you're trying to make on the original conspiracy theory like seem kind of like far-fetched, even when it may not even be, because you have all these pearls of on the string of all these other theories. So this is why it may behoove someone to not be so, maybe a little dispassionate like a scientist when you're expressing these ideas at time.
Not just
there's a time and season for everything.
To intellectual scrutiny in terms of, is it credible, but to, I might even say, aesthetic standards, that this because I'm always looking for the mythological underlayer in everything.
He said, I'm always looking for the mythological underlaying on everything. There's a mythical narrative underneath your life. It's just, you have to, like we talked about with Young over the weekend about dreaming. When you're analyzing your dreams, you have to educate yourself. That's stage 3. in the sense of know all the myths you can of the world, of the collective consciousness, so you can use them as a context signpost to see, like, hey, I'm doing that too. A similar thing that person did in that Egyptian myth, or in that Polish myth, or in that American myth, Western myth. This is why we like movies, because it's a good representative of the myths of our cultures.
So when you write about colonies on Mars, you're actually writing a compelling narrative based on your reading of the mythology.
She's talking about Mars, and I think I will. I'll repost that and boost it up, because it seems like people want to hear that interview, that dialogue they were having, that Jason and his wife Lucinda were having, and I'll boost up her sound as best I can. ESP Revolution said conspiracy meaning two or more people conspiring against. Yes, that's true. That's one definition of it. Don't get conspiracy entertainment and real conspiracy agendas confused. I'm just reminding my son, who this broadcast is mainly for, and his culture of excellence, that don't get so wound up in these conspiracy theories that you forget how they relate in your life, how they actually are relating in your life. But thank you for the reminder. Yeah, so the links in the description. We got about 15-20 minutes. I might do some bonus time on the broadcast today. Let me riff. So shout out to Uncle Fatty for this great viral. So now, in terms of the paranoid awareness, how it relates to the Virgo energy, I'll let you know. Sometimes Virgo energy can fall into this trap of overthinking, because they're masters at thinking critically. This is why I'm bringing Virgos into this, is because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and this is the planet of analysis and thought and details, right? Virgos have this superpower of seeing patterns and finding mistakes and catching the things other people miss. But when Virgo energy becomes unbalanced or a little dark, it becomes more into overthinking and overanalyzing, and never satisfied with the information. They want total coverage, like Lacerda says in Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. You're not Portuguese, man. Anyways, the dark Virgo always needing one or more pieces of the puzzle before they can relax. And remember, Virgo energy has to do with the nervous system, right? Does it sound familiar? Because always needing one more piece of the puzzle before they can relax, that's paranoid awareness in astrological form. The dots connected, but wait, do they? What if this rabbit hole has another rabbit hole? It's like the Virgo brain on espresso with conspiracy theory YouTube algorithms, Your microphone is wonky, apparently. Dennis is going to help me fix it later. I hope he can help you fix that, because I've been telling you, sharing that with you for over a year. Remember about 10 months ago, you said that you got a new microphone. I still hear it popping. Well, good luck with that. What are the numbers today with the numerology, Patrick Bateman? If you're there, if you're awake. That's numerology. Yeah, okay. You got a lot to say. It's like, speaking of Hubbard, Ron Hubbard, his son was saying that he was satanic into black magic. He thought he was the devil. He didn't worship the devil. Yeah. It's an 11-8 day. Okay. What's the math on that? Okay, you had an excellent tamale. Good. I'm happy for you. So the second matrix that nobody's really talking about except me, huh? What's up, Markella? Woo, in the building. In the building. I gotta say. Hey, I can say it. You're my what is this? God damn, I'm so slow.
My nigga.
Oh, Zachary. I thought you were talking about L. Ron Hubbard. Oh shit. 11th day, 11 plus 6, 17 plus 8, 9 years, so it stays the same. Well, yeah, what does that mean though? What are the symbols? Just like astrology, though, for people don't necessarily, if it's kind of overwhelming, you want to overthink it. Don't so much about the names of the planets or the signs. Think about like the characteristics I'm talking about and seeing how that relates to your life. You know, as above, so below as above. 7:02 right now. Shout out to Las Vegas. Let's see. I should what? You should be paying attention to the 8th matrix. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Well, good to have you, Markella. Yeah, so like when we're connecting all these connecting all these dots, but wait, what if this leads us to another rabbit hole and another one and another one? It's like that Virgo, like I said on Espresso Conspiracy YouTube algorithm. And the second matrix, let me break it down like this. There's 2 levels of the matrix, we'll say, just for this experiment, even though there might be eight or more. Level 1 is believing everything you're told by the authority. That's aka blue pill, right? It's level 1 is trusting the news without questioning, thinking corporations love you. What else? Believing the government cares deeply about your fitness goals and your health. Right? I would say level 2 is of the matrix. The second matrix is rejecting that, but also getting trapped in constant paranoia. Everything is fake. I can't trust anything. They're all after me. And guess what? Both levels keep you distracted from your own life. While you're arguing about hidden global agendas, you forget to clean your room, call your grandmother, or work on that business idea that you've been having for 3+ years. You see the trap? You see that trap? Yeah. NPC, buy me a coffee. Yeah, please buy me a coffee, people. Donations. I love that. Thank you, Markella. Appreciate you for that. Yeah. You're on the 4th? Okay. 11 charisma, influence, karma, wealth, abundance. Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it. We want all that good stuff. We want it all. Yeah. The trap is real. Yeah, the trap is real. But we can have some solutions to this, though. I mean, it's not all bad. There's always a solution. The Virgo superpower is freedom. Thanks, sweetheart. Appreciate you. You and yours. Yeah. So like I said, that Virgo have superpowers. It's freedom, and how do we break out of it? That trap. I say, critical thinking without panic. That's a good place to start. And Virgo's real gift is discernment, not just paranoia. And it's okay to question authority. It's actually powerful to research. But real Virgo power is asking, how does this information actually impact my everyday life right now? And I would encourage one to focus on what you can control. Because look to the Virgos, they love fixing things. Use that. Fix your finances. Fix your health. Fix your relationships. Fix your daily routine. Fix your relationship with your pets. And forget about arguing about microchips in your toothpaste. Master your own life first. Don't overthink or overbuild. Use that Virgo precision to create something real. Build skills, Benjamin. Build habits. Build relationships. Build your own matrix. Have fun. It's a life hack. Virgo Zephyr, Mercury in Mercury and Virgo Zephyr knows about how having fun is a life hack. That could be your new Virgo mindset. Yes, the ESP says the situation is a mass awakening, but we just see the most people are MS mainstream brainwashed. Yes, that's true. Most of them are, but you're not. Be happy with that, and be happy that you found some other people that seem to be that we're here right now. You know, that's something special. That's something to build on. You know, it's fun to get feedback that's positive. Shout out to Yolanda and Buddha. And having fun as a life hack. I love that, because here's a fun cheat code for escaping paranoid spirals. Look at this. Shout out to Uncle Fatty. When you find yourself going down that conspiracy truther rabbit hole, ask yourself, is this helping me build a better life, or just building a better prison in my mind? If it's not adding to your life, let it go. Let it go. Yeah. Because the Virgo isn't about stressing over perfection. It's about refining life to work for you. And I'm not saying that we need to ignore the wild stuff in the world. However, I'm saying don't let paranoia become your new religion. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling myself, I'm like preaching and yelling at you because I'm trying to wake myself up as well. It's 7 a.m. in the morning right now, Taiwan. The real District 13, the real Shaolin. Is this important? Can I do anything about it? Do I want to? Should I? Those are all great supplemental questions to ask yourself when you're bombarded with this information. And these questions that Zeph and myself and ESP are asking, it's like Virgo's gift, and the gift is clarity, and use it. Research with purpose, question with balance, and build with confidence. Yes. Hello. I feel like Bane on a plane right now. Yes, Yolanda. Good to see you.
Good to meet you again.
Oh my God.
How are you?
Holy crap, you're as beautiful as you sound. Wow. Oh, I'm great. Good to have you, man.
Yeah, what a great topic today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of paranoia. You've been kind of seeing what's going on for Cynthia and I, and there's in her and I and the conversations we've been trying to have is awareness to not let ourselves get into that state of paranoia. But
right. And it's funny because I was actually gonna, if I had more time, I was gonna play the Joe Cool and Cynthia interaction. It's
been some great conversations with Cynthia.
Yeah.
She's really raw on how she is honest and brutal at times, with her honesty, and it's necessary for us. It builds up a stronger armor.
Yeah, she definitely is showed me personally, I can speak for myself, when I look at things holistically, she has a lot of good points about about how you reaction is a big thing in this matrix. It's a big testing tool. It's a big it shows you that's where the real power lays. And it can go really left or go really right, meaning it can go really bad or really good. You can learn from it, and just by reacting or not reacting. And I think actually that's what Joe Cool on just to keep it 100, keep it even, he was trying to say too. And it's like this guy Tarek or whatever his name is, like he if you don't even mention the dude, eventually he'll probably go away. Because in the end, no disrespect to him, but Cynthia and you yourself have a way more higher trajectory and that resonates with a higher consciousness and what he's doing. And I think that sometimes it's best to just ignore things, but then again, sometimes you got to say something because that's when real growth happens. What do you think, Yolanda?
I think that's where I'm at with it, is where the real growth happens in approaching it, because this isn't anything new that I've been experiencing with him. And it's just gotten to a point where it's heightened and it needs to just be all let out and then move on. That's how I feel, because this isn't our first rodeo. Oh, thank you, Zephyr. But the important thing that I've learned is self-control, and not to let myself get too over the top with controlling my emotions. But emotions are necessary. And it is on this YouTube stuff, accountability is necessary. Like, no matter how many times I'm going to ignore it, it's never going to go away. So what is the lesson that we learned from the experience? Today I tried to combat it and approach him about it. And I tried to click his link to join the stream, because I told him, enough is enough. It ends today. And he ended the stream as soon as I came in the studio. So
that happened to me with Tommy before. I went to go talk a couple times, and
he the only person that told me that's a Tommy move.
Of course, he's not gonna say it probably. I'm not afraid of anybody on fucking YouTube. Come on, bro. It's when I say bro, it means you're my sis, my hermana. But like, this is just a fucking computer screen. I mean, not just when it comes to bullshit like that, but with this positive, no, it is sometimes more realer than real life. It is what you make it.
That was the point of the stream last night when she was sharing the news report with us, is how real things.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And how raw people are. You don't know who you're messing with. And that was the point. It had nothing to do with being a threat. Because today that's the narrative, is that I was threatening. No, it's the awareness that you may never know how a person is going to respond or what their state of mind is. And when you're on the internet and these social media things and the things that you say, you never know how a person's going to respond. And that was my only point. It's amazing how things get twisted. So I had to have the conversation one-on-one, and then now there's games being played, which was last night's stream with Cynthia, and he's doing a stream for me in 2 hours. And I'm like, I'm not going to do this with you, no.
well, in terms of like, I wish a Buddha say something. The word accountability sounds familiar from weeks ago. Yeah, I have to say this. All I can say is, hopefully, if this dude, he did come up try to talk shit in the chat before, I probably would say something to him like, bro, you need to cut it out. Leave those women alone, man. You need to sack up and do your own thing. But I don't think he would listen. This is why I think it's great you have your own channel. And like I told you earlier today before, like, that's all that matters. The positive right now to me. Yes, I'm not gonna put my head in the sand to everyone else what they're doing, but it ain't got really nothing to do with me except teaching me what not to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like I keep on having these same individuals. Before I came on here, I tapped in onto OTW for a second. Snappy Snaps is losing his mind over something, and he brings up my name. So I went up and addressed him. And that's all we can do, is have the one-on-one and then see where it goes from there. But when it's denied and there's games being played, well, then you're the one that looks bad. So
right. Or you could do what Joe Cool was saying. I think it was trying to say. Well, I'll say what I want to say. I said just fuck them and don't even acknowledge them after a while. I mean, that's me because I'm okay. Like, I guess that's the Sigma thing where I can run with the crews, with the community, or I can be by myself until, or I have my own community here. We all have one meta community, and I think that's why you go over to OTW. That's why I go over there sometimes and other places. But in the end, we really can, like Cynthia said back like months ago, we can starve those zombies out, man. I don't know, man, because I don't think they really have much to offer at this point.
No, not at this point, but it's frustrating. It's hard when you know that the narratives that are being created could potentially be dangerous for somebody at some point. Like that's the conversation. Have awareness when you come in here, because a lot of people like to tease Gen Xers. Like I'm a Gen X. So
yeah, me too. Yeah.
This stuff is newer to me than it is for some. And so I'm learning, and I want to be aware. If this is where the digital age is going, I need to learn this stuff now, so I'm prepared for what's to come in the future.
Yeah, for sure. But don't get it twisted. We're Gen Xers, but we ain't no boomers. I mean, everyone's a boomer considered to a younger person, but we're not literally. There's those people. We're in the privileged place, Yolanda, in the sense that we knew life before the internet and after. This is why I son all these people when it comes down to it. You do too. And Zeph too. Buddha, Buddha's younger, but he's like a fucking old man soul. But what I'm saying is, like, I'll say it one more time. You don't have to listen to me, but fuck these people in the sense that, like, you're better than that. They don't even deserve you bringing up their name. And I can show you better than I can tell you. I'll remind you this shit. Or tell me to shut up. I don't know, but I just think you're the bee's knees.
Well, we've got to ride. It has to ride itself out, and the way that I like to approach things is resolution. And when I tried to go for resolution, it didn't work out the way that I had anticipated.
Okay, you tried.
And I tried.
What can you do?
So
what can you do?
Yeah. Well, I heard you kind of mention earlier that you might be ending here soon, so I'll go ahead and go down. But I look forward to more conversations with you and the next astrology info.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Not even the prima. You're the hermana. I appreciate you.
Well, that's why I called you hermano earlier. Like there's you feel that connection with people sometimes. So blessings to your wife and little Ben. Have a blessed day. I'll see you guys.
Absolutely. Later. Shout out to the haystack in the Bay, Oakland, San Jose, everywhere. Peace.
What up?
We love you. California. We love you. California love. Peace, Yolanda.
Peace.
I love you. Take care. Peace. Yeah. Taking accountability is a big part of my life. I wish, she says, because I own the ish always and always will. Always and forever. And everyone gets old unless they die young. And they say the good die young and the bad outlive everyone. But today it's the Sagittarius in full moon. Sagittarius, time to celebrate, time to philosophize, and time to take far trips overseas, mentally and physically. And suddenly I realized you're the one for me. Peace out. NBC The Game. I gotta go get Ben some breakfast. I'll see you tomorrow. Morbid Facts, Volume 3. Peace. Now, shout out to